Welcome to week 3 of e-commerce. This week we're going to be looking at chapter 5. And chapter 5 deals with two major themes: security threats and the payment systems that we use on the web. The key point that I want you to take away from this chapter is that we need to respect security. Security on the web is complex, it's multi-layered, it involves diverse sets of risk that are out there, and you have to have a balanced approach. One way is not going to work with it. It requires three main elements. You have to have special technology, organizational rules, and procedures. There's also laws and industry standards that you need to be aware of when you're dealing with security. One thing I would like to have you guys do when you first start the chapter is to look at figure 5.1. 5.1 illustrates the interaction and supportive nature of the three elements I just talked about. And also realize that there is no magic bullet when it comes to security. Security has a lot of different issues that we have to deal with, and there is always new methods that are coming out. There's always new security issues that are coming out, and so it's an ongoing thing that technology people have to be aware of to be able to counteract it. As far as the payment system goes, the key point that I want you to get out of that is the web has not created a completely new method of payment, although they have changed how payments can be made. If we ever thought that we could wean us off of using credit cards, the internet has done none of that. In fact, the internet has increased the use of credit cards because that's the way we pay them. There are things like PayPal that we could use, but PayPal also requires that you store your checking account or your credit card, so still we have that dependence on that. The opening case is called Cyberwar MAD 2.0. It's an interesting case that looks at the large-scale attacks that have happened in the United States. Some of you might be familiar of, some of them you may not have heard of, but it kind of shows how the internet can be a battlefield, not only with terrorist attacks, but with companies versus companies and those kind of things. So I think you would find it interesting if you do want to read that. As we look at good security elements, Table 5.3 actually lists the 6 ingredients that are required for our e-commerce site. So it'd be a good idea to look at those and be aware of those that are out there. Also, we look at security threats. Figures 5.2 and 5.3 are full of the different types of spam and malicious code and worms and data breaches and all kinds of stuff that is out there. Again, those are things just to be aware of, to be familiar with the names. Don't get too overwhelmed with them. But it's more of a way for you to say, oh yeah, I recognize that, I've heard of that. So when you hear them out in the public, or you kind of understand it a little bit more. There's also the insight that's called technology. Think your smartphone is secure. It looks more at the mobile devices and some of the threats on that. And in fact, one of your assignments is going to deal with mobile threats and what happens in that element of the mobile threat system. We also are going to look at the insight and society web cases, web dogs and anonymity, identity point 2.0. And it's going to discuss some of the federal initiatives that are out there to help, as to say, keep your identity trusted and safe. They also look at the larger community of philosophers and social commenters and what they feel about the whole thing with identity and being safe on the web. We also go through a whole area of policies and procedures and laws that deal with it. First, we look at the technical security side of it, and then we look at some of the things that governments have done to protect people and to protect businesses on that side. And you will find that in table 5.5 and 5.6 actually list a whole area that deals with that, whether you're talking about criminal conspiracy, war, public safety, all those kind of things that would be listed and covered in that area. And then as you get towards the end of the chapter, we talk about types of payments. There are 5 generic payment systems that we have, and figure 5.13 explains those and really gives you a chance to evaluate and look at them. Excuse me. We also look at PayPal, Amazon's one-click system, which you should know is patented for Amazon. Google Checkout, Bill Me Later, even some of the mobile payment systems that are out there. So it kind of gives you a good idea to look at some of them. As you can tell, this chapter is full of information. It's information I find more interesting than some of the other stuff, just because you hear about the threats and you hear about things out there, and so it kind of lets us know, be familiar with that kind of stuff and know what people are talking about when they mention it. To conclude all this, to wrap up this week, you have 3 assignments. Your first assignment is called Hacked, What Now? And basically that just has you imagine that you're a business owner and you have an e-commerce website, and what are some issues that you have to worry about, security issues? What are things that you have to be aware of? And what are some solutions to those? So basically that's looking at some of the information in the book and kind of summarizing it and how you would use it, or what you would find of most concern. And it's always been interesting with me when I do assign this type of assignment, because all students find different things as their first concern. And so there really is no right or wrong answer on it. I just want you to thoroughly think about it and give me an explanation of really what you think. I mean, it shouldn't be no 1-2 sentence questions. It should be a paragraph for each question that's listed at least, and really give me the detailed information that I can tell that you understand the different threats that are out there and some of the solutions. The second one is called International Business, and it asks you to look at some of the issues that deal with doing e-commerce payments internationally. I have this one running site that I like to order stuff from. They have some neat books, and I've gotten a couple of t-shirts from them, but they're from Canada. And so I do everything through PayPal with them, but then we have to look at the currency change. Is it $25 American, $25, or whatever their money is called in Canada, and usually they do show that it's American money, but that's a whole issue too, is how secure is that, and what are some things businesses have to look at. And then finally you have a discussion. Discussion looks at mobile crimes. What are some of those threats coming out there with their mobile devices? Most of us do have some type of a smartphone. I know not everyone does, but a lot of the people in our society do. And so we're using that more and more, whether we are connecting with iTunes or making payments, or heck, Delta. I can book a flight on my Delta app with my smartphone. So there are some things that are out there that are threatening that, and I just have you look that up a little bit, share what you found in the discussion, respond to a couple people. So this is a full chapter, like I said. There's a lot of interesting things in it. I hope you enjoy it. I don't want it to scare you about all the stuff. I know they get into some detail about the government and what the government does, but that's just for you to be aware of what is going on. And remember, when we talk about the government accessing some of our stuff, again, if you're not a terrorist or doing anything against the well-being of the government, it's not going to be a problem. So for the most of us in the United States, we don't have to worry about that part of it. But if you have any questions, please email me, let me know. Again, I try to get back to you within 24 hours during the week here, and I hope you have a fabulous week.